Alright, episode 71 of Techfall Tabletalks is upon you. I'm your host, Julius Grit. Yeah, been out for a while, but we're back. To be honest with you, a lot of content coming at once. Kinda hard to cover everything, but I got into a groove, and right now we're gonna start with Evin Gursoy of Midwood High School, his 2024 Journeyman Championship run. And I do believe he is the first New York City wrestler to win the Journeyman tournament, so that's really cool. So we're going to start off here. Let's get right into it. He wrestled at 119 pounds for this tournament. So round one, he goes against somebody named Bennett Palmieri of Superior Wrestling Academy. So Evin starts off very aggressive. Some nice hand fighting, right? Very aggressive stuff, pushing the pace. Shoots at the edge. They both go out of bounds. Evin gets in on a high crotch. Then Palmieri initiates a scramble. The scramble lasted quite a bit. Palmieri was upside down for 90% of it. The ref eventually resets them. Evin gets in on a shot. Keeps his head aimed at his opponent's ribs. Then runs him down for 3 points. And that's something that I think we all got to get used to. It's going to be 3 instead of 2. It'll take a little bit. So the first period ends 3-0. Gursoy's in the lead. The second period starts with Gursoy almost immediately hitting a nice fireman's carry. Gets Palmieri straight to his back. Gets the pin in under 30 seconds of the second period. Easy money. Round 2 versus James McGinty of Scorpions. Evin gets first blood with a lightning fast high crotch. Scores 3-0 to start. Gursoy gets 3 back points shortly thereafter. Now he's in a 6-0 lead. Evin brings them out of bounds. Him and his opponent. So then they reset. Evin rides his opponent for a bit, then gets some more back points, bringing him to a 10-0 lead. A really cool moment happened at the end of the first period. They were both kind of switching back and forth. They did it about 4 times maybe. Evin won that, obviously, that little switch battle, and then ended off the period on top, kept his lead. In the beginning of the second period, Evin spent most of it hanging on a single leg, but then eventually he got his takedown, he got his 3, 13-0 lead. Going into the third, Evin was unable to turn McGinty. At the end of the second period, Evin was unable to turn his opponent, McGinty. So then the second period just ended 13-0. In the beginning of the third period, Evin stuffed a shot, went all the way around his opponent. So what he did was after he down blocked, he didn't just circle behind. He maybe got overzealous, but he went all the way back facing his opponent. So then he went in for a double leg, hit it, and got the 16-0 tech fall to end the match in the third period. So the theme here is that throughout this tournament, the matches for Evin get tougher and tougher and tougher. Which makes sense, it's a high level tournament. But we all know Evin Gursoy can handle that. Quarterfinals against Michael Morris of Metro West United. A quick note about Metro West United. Somebody by the name of Nicholas Fine came out of Metro West United. He was a Virginia Beach national champion, I believe in 2019. He wrestles at Columbia University, where he was a starter, and will be this upcoming season. So, just to give you a little insight on Metro West United, that's the kind of wrestlers they develop. A nice flurry in the first period leads to Morris getting the first takedown. Scores 3-0 Morris. Evin hits an escape from bottom, but can't break Morris' front headlock. 3-1 to end the first period. Gursoy tried everything he could to turn Morris in the second, but it was to no avail. Evin hits a nice escape. Nice good escape to start the third period. 3-2 is the score now. Evin went under Morris' leg, got him to expose his back, and sort of a crab ride, he got to his back and pulled his arms from under. And that brought the score to 5-3. So Evin starts to catch up here. The match ends with both combatants hand fighting, and Evin wins again in a very tough match. Alright, Evin was down and he came back. Semifinals against Sean Wilcox of Monster Garage. So, because of Flow Wrestling's phenomenal camera skills, I actually couldn't see what happened in that first sequence. But based on what I saw right before they went off camera, it seemed like Evin did legitimately score a takedown. But again, their bodies were off camera and I could barely see their legs. I mean, I'm guessing it was legit. The takedown Evin scored. Before they got off camera, Evin was on top of his opponent and did have a good amount of control. So, yeah, I'm gonna bet Evin did legit score the takedown. I know his feet were in bounds. I know that for a fact. But again, Flow Wrestling's camera skills are so great that it's really hard to see a lot of the time whenever wrestlers are wrestling on the edge. So, yeah, it's something Flow has to fix, in my opinion. And then they get back to the middle. Evin tilted him for 2 back points, bringing the score 5-0. A nice scramble to a stalemate toward the latter half of the second period. And then a seemingly endless scramble takes up the very last minute of the second period. We continue on. Evin gets cut from top, then hits a fireman's to bring the score 9-0 to start the third. So by gets cut, he didn't get hurt or anything. That for people that don't know, that means that your opponent decides to push your head down. If he's on top, you're on bottom, your opponent's pushing your head down and deciding to let you up in a way. He's letting you up enough so that the escape point is, the escape point is granted, but then he's just going to take you down right after. Usually the opponent tries not to do that. Again, this is for people that don't know. Usually the opponent wants to cut you without giving up the escape point, but more often than not, they're going to give up the escape point, right? Because they're pretty much letting you up. But the goal is to then score 2 more points. So the odds justify the means in a way, but sometimes it doesn't always work, right? As Evin's opponent tried to cut him, then Evin hit a fireman's. He made him pay for it and brought the score to 9-0 to start the third period. So sometimes that could come back to bite you. Evin then got 2 back points to make it 11-0. Evin hanged on his opponent's fireman's carry position, so he got a fireman's. He got him down to his hip, and he was kind of moving around in that position. He didn't let go of the fireman's, and they were just moving around there, and that's what he did for the remainder of the period, and he won 11-0. So Evin, being smart, work smarter, not harder, understanding that, hey, it's not a big deal if you hold a position to keep, yourself in the right spot. Trying to win matches here, not trying to wrestle for style points. Now we get to the finals against Seamus Regan of Wyoming Seminary. Wyoming Seminary, they are historically really good. So nice shot by Evin right away. Regan wanted to scramble, but then he gave up on it. So Evin starts the first period, 3-0. Regan rode Gursoy, for most of the second period. Then Evin scrambled a bit to keep from getting scored on. The second period ended with nobody scoring. Again, Evin played it smart. He didn't do any more than he had to. In the beginning of the third period, the ref got confused for a moment. Almost gave Regan a takedown. They discussed it and all that. He realized that Regan didn't really have control, so they fixed it. So the score is still 3-0. Reagan then got a last-second takedown, I mean buzzer beater, at the end of the third period to bring this match into overtime. After a bit of a chase, Evin got to his legs and had to chase him down a little bit. Evin got the 3 points at the edge, and Evin Gursoy became your 2024 Journeyman Champion at 119 pounds. And again, somebody may correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Evin Gursoy is the first New York City wrestler to win the Journeyman Championship, which is a very big deal. Very, very big deal. So congrats to Evin. And he's just really gritty. He's really tough. He's really good, but he's also really tough. I think that toughness, when he's going against these guys that are just as great as he is, or sometimes better, that toughness that he has, that grit that he has, that carries him through these tight matches. A lot of guys don't have that, and it's good to see some more New York City guys with that. Now, yes, Evin and guys like Amir and people like that, they've been wrestling since they were younger, yes, but it's the inspiration. It's like a blueprint, It'll motivate all the other NYC guys that start wrestling at 14. It'll motivate them to do some of what they're doing, right? Even though they're starting later, do some of what they're doing to get to a higher level than what usually would be the case for a lot of NYC wrestlers that don't get to start wrestling until they're 14 or 15, So it's good that, we got guys like Evin, that are kind of the face of NYC wrestling in a way. It's real good for the city. And I think that more people are going to see the success that the city as a whole has. And it's going to make everybody step up their game to where we can get to a point that it doesn't matter when you're starting, you're going to be good no matter what. Because there's parts of Long Island, parts of upstate. And I know, because I've been in the rooms with these guys. Some of these guys are on my college team. Back when I was wrestling upstate in college, some of these guys started around when I did, in 9th grade. And they made it to states. Some guys placed, there's guys that did real well just starting in 9th grade. So it's like imagine if they started earlier kind of thing. And a lot of guys in NYC start 9th grade, it's kind of looked at as too late, but it's not. So, guys like Evin are kind of the inspiration for the rest of the guys. Like, hey, it doesn't matter and it shouldn't matter when you start. Anybody can get really good. Just because one guy got real good and he happened to have started earlier doesn't mean that you can't get really good starting later than he did. We're gonna get to a point where it doesn't matter when you start. It doesn't matter. We're gonna get good no matter what. And it's good to see NYC wrestling on an upward trajectory once again. So good job to Evin. And great job to Beat the Streets for coaching guys like Evin and coaching the guys they're coaching. I got more NYC wrestlers to talk about in some later episodes. And hey, it's cool to see once again the upward trajectory. So I'm going to keep looking real close. And I'm hoping that, come February, some cool things happen. So yeah, that's it for this episode 71. Make sure you guys tune in for the next episode, because the next episode is going to be really cool. It's going to be all about Anthony Knox and his 4 Who's Number 1 victories. He is the first wrestler to win Who's Number 1 4 times in a row. He went 4 times and he won all 4 times. It's not easy to maintain, being one of the top guys in the country 2 years in a row, let alone 4, right? So he was one of the top guys in the country 4 years in a row, all 4 years of high school, and he proved that he's number 1 all 4 years. That's unprecedented. So congrats to Anthony Knox for doing that, but the next episode I'm actually going to go in depth on all that. You guys don't want to miss that, so stay tuned for that, and Thanks for listening.